Commander Ta stood on the bridge of the asterisk, stellar wind asterisk, his eyes fixed on the screen showing a blue-green planet. The ship had just entered an uncharted solar system at the edge of the Galactic Confederation's known space. "Scan complete, Commander," said Officer Min, her fingers moving quickly over the control panel. The third planet shows signs of civilization. Technology level appears to be strange. Tay turned his head. Strange how? Their main planet has primitive space vessels, mostly orbiting their own world or their nearby moon. But we're picking up unusual energy signatures. They don't match anything in our database. Todd walked closer to the screen. This was his 5th exploration mission, but he had never seen readings like these. The species called themselves humans, according to the radio signals they had intercepted. "Put me through to Admiral June," Tai ordered. The screen changed to show the stern face of Admiral June. His gray uniform was decorated with the symbols of his many victories. "Report, Commander Ta." "Admiral, we found an inhabited planet. The species appears to be in the early stages of space travel, but..." Ta paused. "Something doesn't add up. Their technology seems uneven. Some parts very basic, others surprisingly advanced." Admiral June leaned forward. "Dangerous?" "I don't think so, sir. They haven't even noticed us yet. Our cloaking shield is working perfectly." Just as Tai said this, Officer Min called out, "Commander, they're hailing us." "What? How is that possible?" Ta turned, shocked. "Our ship is cloaked. They shouldn't be able to see us." Min looked equally surprised. "I don't know, sir, but they're sending a message directly to us." Admiral June's voice grew sharp. "Put it on screen. Let's see these humans." The screen split, and a human face appeared. The creature looked somewhat like Ta's people, but with different coloring and no ridge marks on its forehead. "Unknown vessel," the human said in its own language, which the ship's computer translated. "This is Earth Defense Command. We detect your presence in our solar system. Please identify yourself and state your purpose." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Ta looked at Admiral June, whose eyes had narrowed. "They shouldn't have that technology," Jum said quietly. "Not at their development stage." Ta nodded. "What should I do, Admiral?" "Respond. Be friendly. Tell them we come in peace." June's face hardened. "Meanwhile, I'll prepare a containment fleet. If these humans can detect our cloaked ships, who knows what else they might be capable of." Tay took a deep breath and stepped forward. "This is Commander Ta of the Galactic Confederation Exploration Vessel Asterisk, Stellar Wind Asterisk. We come with peaceful intentions to learn about your species." The human on screen smiled. It was a gesture Tai recognized from studying other species. Usually, it meant friendliness. "Welcome to Earth space, Commander Ta. We would be honored to exchange knowledge with your people." As the conversation continued, Officer Min whispered to Tai, "They seem nice enough." "Yes," Tai replied quietly. "But did you notice they weren't surprised to see aliens, almost as if they were expecting us?" In his private quarters later, Tai recorded his log. "First contact with species human completed. They appear friendly and eager to share knowledge. But I can't shake the feeling that there's more to these humans than meets the eye. I recommend caution as we proceed." Little did Ta know that this caution would prove to be tragically insufficient in the days to come. 3 days after first contact, Diplomat Sun arrived on the asterisk, Stellar Wind Asterisk. She was the Confederation's top negotiator, sent personally by High Commander Du to assess the humans. "Commander Tay," she said, nodding as she stepped onto the bridge. "I've read your reports. These humans sound interesting." Tad led her to his office, away from the curious ears of his crew. "They are unlike any species we've encountered, Diplomat Sun. They seem eager to share their knowledge, almost too eager." Sun smiled. Her face was smooth and calm, perfect for hiding her thoughts during negotiations. "That is why I am here, to find out what they truly want." The next morning, A small shuttle took Sun and Ta down to Earth. They landed in a place the humans called Geneva, where world leaders had gathered to meet the alien visitors. The human greeting party was smaller than Tay expected. Just 5 people stood waiting. 4 men and 1 woman, all wearing dark suits. "Welcome to Earth," said the woman, stepping forward with her hand extended. "I am Director Lee of the International Space Agency. We are honored by your visit." Sun took the human's hand, copying the greeting gesture they had studied. "The honor is ours. The Galactic Confederation seeks friendship with all intelligent life." Over the next few hours, the humans showed their visitors maps of Earth, explained their governments, and shared information about their technology. Ta noticed that Sun was asking many questions but sharing very little about the Confederation in return. "Your space travel seems limited," Sun said, looking at models of human spacecraft. "Have you explored beyond your moon?" Director Lee nodded. "Only with unmanned probes. We are still young in space exploration." "Yet you detected our cloaked ship," Ta said suddenly. He saw Sun give him a sharp look. Director Lee smiled. "Just a lucky accident. One of our new sensors picked up an anomaly. We're still learning how it works ourselves." Later, back on the shuttle, Sun turned to Ta. "They're hiding something." "Yes," Ta agreed. "But what?" "Their technology doesn't match. Their spaceships are primitive, but their sensors detected our cloaking shield. And did you notice their weapons?" Ta nodded. "I saw no weapons." "Exactly," Sun said. "Not a single weapon on display. What advanced civilization shows no weapons at all? They're hiding their military capability." That night, Sun sent a private message to High Commander Du. "Humans appear technologically inferior in many areas, but show remarkable adaptability. They learn quickly and ask clever questions. Most concerning is their unpredictability. They do not follow logical patterns of development. Recommend caution in future relations." Meanwhile, in a secure room deep beneath Geneva, Director Lee met with her military advisors. "What do you think?" asked General Park, an older man with gray hair. "They're evaluating us," Lee replied. "The diplomat was measuring our strength." "And our weakness," added Admiral Kang. "Did they believe our story about the sensor detection being an accident?" Lee shook her head. "I don't think so. But it doesn't matter. The real question is, why has an advanced alien civilization suddenly appeared at our doorstep? They're not just explorers." "You think they want something," Park said. "Everyone wants something, General." Lee looked at the star map, showing the position of the alien ship. "Our deep space telescopes have detected movement. More of their ships are coming." "How many?" Kang asked. "Many," Lee answered simply. "Too many for a peaceful visit." As the humans discussed their plans, Diplomat Sun was reporting to the Confederation Council. Her final words sealed Earth's fate. "These humans are too unpredictable to join our community. They could become a threat. I recommend containment." High Commander Du nodded gravely. "Then containment it shall be." 2 weeks passed. On the surface, talks between humans and the Confederation went well. Every day, Diplomat Sun met with Earth leaders. They shared stories, technology, and cultural information. The humans seemed happy. But in space, a different story unfolded. Juan was a young analyst on the Confederation's command ship, the Star Dominance *. His job was to study human communications. Day and night, he listened to their radio signals, watched their television broadcasts, and read their internet messages. "Commander Tay," Juan said, entering the commander's office without knocking. "I found something strange." Ta looked up from his reports. "This better be important, Analyst Juan." "It is, sir." Juan placed a data pad on Ta's desk. "The humans have changed their communication patterns. 3 days ago, their military channels became much quieter." "Maybe they're just being careful around us," Ta suggested. "No, sir. That's not all." Juan pulled up more data. Their civilian satellites have changed position, slightly, but enough to create a new network. And their space stations are now always positioned between us and our planet. Ta frowned. You think they're preparing for something? I think they know about our fleet, sir. This made Ta sit up straight. The Confederation had secretly positioned 50 warships behind Earth's moon. The humans shouldn't know about this. The ships were cloaked. That's impossible, Ta said. Admiral June assured me. With respect, sir, Juan interrupted. These humans detected your ship when you first arrived. Why wouldn't they detect 50 more? Ta immediately called Admiral June. When the Admiral's face appeared on screen, Ta explained Juan's findings. June's expression didn't change. Your analyst is overthinking this. The containment fleet is completely hidden. High Command has already made its decision. We move tomorrow. Sir, Ta tried again. If the humans know we're coming, then we'll deal with it. June cut him off. These are primitives, Commander. Their technology is generations behind ours. After the call ended, Juan looked at Ta. They're not going to listen, are they? Ta slowly shook his head. No, the Confederation has conquered 1,000 worlds. They believe humans will be no different. Meanwhile, on Earth, Director Lee stood in a dark control room surrounded by screens showing the positions of ships in space. Next to her, Admiral Kang pointed to a cluster of red dots behind the moon. 50 ships, Kang said, all heavily armed. So much for peaceful contact, Lee said bitterly. How long have we known? From the beginning, Kang replied. Their cloaking technology doesn't hide their heat signatures or gravity distortions. Our deep space arrays picked them up immediately. Lee nodded. Are we ready? As ready as we can be, Kang said. All defense systems are on alert. The new shield technology has been deployed to our major cities. Our fleet is in position. It won't be enough, Lee said quietly. Not if their technology is as advanced as we think. No, Kang agreed. But we have something they don't. What's that? Experience with losing. Kang's face was grim. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to be desperate. We know how to survive. The next morning, Diplomat Sun arrived for her scheduled meeting with Earth's leaders. Her smile was warm, but her eyes were cold. I bring wonderful news, she said. The Confederation Council has made its decision about Earth. Director Lee's face revealed nothing. And what have they decided? At that exact moment, alarms began to sound throughout the building. It seems, Lee said, looking straight into Sun's eyes, that we already know their decision. In space, Admiral June gave the order. Begin the attack. Let's remind these humans of their place in the galaxy. The Confederation fleet dropped their cloaking shields and advanced toward Earth, weapons charged. The betrayal had begun. Admiral June stood tall on the bridge of the Star Dominance *. His 50 warships moved toward Earth in perfect formation. On the main screen, the blue planet grew larger. Time to weapon range, June asked. 3 minutes, Admiral, an officer replied. June nodded. This would be simple. The plan was to destroy Earth's military bases first, then their major cities. After that, the humans would surrender. They always did. Sir, called out the sensor officer, I'm detecting movement from Earth. Many small ships launching. June smiled. Let them come. Show me. The screen changed to show hundreds of small Earth vessels rising from the planet. They looked primitive. Simple metal shapes with basic engines. Pathetic, June said. Their ships are toys compared to ours. Commander Todd watched from his position on the bridge. Something felt wrong. Admiral, shouldn't we analyze their capabilities before engaging? There's nothing to analyze, Commander, June replied. Our scans show they have weak weapons and no shields. This will be over quickly. The first wave of Confederation ships moved forward. 20 sleek warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a city. Enemy ships approaching weapon range, reported the tactical officer. Fire when ready, June ordered. Show these humans the price of resistance. The Confederation ships fired their main weapons. Beams of energy shot toward the human fleet. And then something impossible happened. The human ships didn't explode. Instead, the beams seemed to bend around them, hitting nothing. What? June leaned forward. Report. Sir, they appear to have some kind of deflection technology. Our weapons aren't hitting their targets. Before June could respond, the human ships accelerated suddenly. They moved in strange patterns, not the orderly formations used by Confederation fleets. They zigzagged, spun, and twisted in ways that made no tactical sense. And then the humans fired back. Their weapons weren't energy beams. Instead, they launched thousands of small objects that the Confederation sensors barely detected. What are those? June demanded. His answer came seconds later when the objects hit the first Confederation ship. They didn't explode on impact. Instead, they attached to the hull and then burrowed inside. Alarms blared as the first Confederation ship lost power. Then another, and another. Sir, we've lost contact with the front line, the communications officer reported, her voice shaking. 5 ships are completely dark. Impossible. Jum slammed his fist down. Bring the second wave forward. Target those human ships and destroy them. The second wave of Confederation ships moved into position, but the humans had more surprises. From Earth's orbit, larger vessels now appeared. They had been hiding behind satellites and space debris. These ships fired different weapons, bright pulses that somehow passed right through Confederation shields. On the command screen, Todd watched in horror as more Confederation ships went dark or began to drift aimlessly in space. Some started to break apart, their hulls compromised. Admiral, Ta said urgently, we need to regroup. Their technology is nothing like what we expected. June's face had gone pale. In just 5 minutes, the humans had disabled or destroyed 15 of his most powerful warships. Nothing like this had ever happened in Confederation history. How? He whispered. How is this possible? On Earth, in the military command center, Admiral Kang watched the battle with grim satisfaction. Phase 1 complete, reported a young officer. The nanite swarms have disabled their front line. Electromagnetic pulse weapons are effective against their secondary ships. And our losses? Kang asked. Minimal. 6 ships damaged, 2 destroyed. Director Lee stood beside Kang, her face illuminated by the battle displays. They thought we were defenseless. They never imagined we've been preparing for this day for decades. Should we push forward? Asked Kang. Lee nodded. Show them what humans can do when threatened. In space, the human fleet regrouped and began advancing toward the remaining Confederation ships. Admiral Jun watched, stunned, as his mighty fleet crumbled before what he had thought was an inferior enemy. These humans, he said in disbelief. What are they? Chaos filled the bridge of the Asterisk, Star Dominance Asterisk. Officers ran between stations as alarms blared. Reports of damaged ships came in every few seconds. Pull back the remaining ships, Admiral Jun ordered. Regroup at Position Delta. The Confederation fleet that remained, now less than 30 ships, retreated to a safe distance. The human fleet did not pursue them. Instead, the Earth ships formed a protective wall around their planet. In the communications room of the Asterisk, Star Dominance Asterisk, Officer Mock worked frantically. Her job was to intercept and translate human messages. As the battle raged, human communications had exploded with activity. Sir, Mock called as Admiral Jun entered the room. I've translated their battle communications. You need to hear this. Jun walked to her station. His face was tight with anger and confusion. What have you found? Mock played the recordings. Human voices filled the room, speaking calmly despite the battle. Wolf Squadron, execute Thermopyla pattern. Eagle Group, implement Desert Storm protocols. All ships, prepare Normandy countermeasures. June frowned. What are these terms? Thermopylae. Desert storm. Normandy. Mock pulled up data on her screen. They're references to human battles, sir. Ancient battles from their history. Thousands of years of warfare. Against themselves. What? June looked shocked. The Confederation has been at peace for 12 generations, Mock explained. Our battle tactics are all from simulations and training. But these humans, she paused, they've been fighting real wars against each other for their entire history. That's barbaric, June said in disgust. Yes, sir, Mock agreed. But it means they have experience we don't have. Their tactics aren't from textbooks. They're from real battles where real people died. At that moment, Commander Todd joined them. Admiral, we've analyzed their weapons. They're using technology we considered but abandoned. Explain, June demanded. Their deflection shields aren't energy-based like ours. They use gravity manipulation to bend space slightly around their ships. We studied this approach a century ago, but decided it was too unpredictable. And their weapons? June asked. The small objects are nanite swarms, self-replicating machines that eat through metal and disrupt electronics. Again, technology we decided was too dangerous to develop. June paced the room. So they're using dangerous, unpredictable technology that we rejected. Yes, sir, Ta said. And there's more. Those pulse weapons they fired. They're simple electromagnetic pulses, but calibrated perfectly to the frequency of our shield generators. How could they know our frequencies? June demanded. Tad looked uncomfortable. They might have been studying us longer than we realized. Or what? Or they're just very good at adapting. From the battle recordings, they were adjusting their weapons in real time as they fought. Mock suddenly called out, Sir, I found something else in their communications. She played another recording. All units be advised. This is not a drill. This is what we've been preparing for since Roswell. Roswell? June asked. Mock checked her data. A location on Earth. Something happened there nearly 80 years ago. References are classified in their systems. Tay's eyes widened. They've known about alien life before we arrived. These humans, Mock said quietly, they may look primitive, but they've been preparing for this battle for decades, maybe longer. Their entire civilization is built around conflict and survival. Admiral June stared at the screen showing Earth and the defensive line of human ships. For the first time in his career, he felt real fear. These humans are insane, he whispered. They turned their own violent history into a weapon against us. On Earth, Director Lee and Admiral Kang watched as the alien ships retreated. They'll be back, Kang said, with more ships. Lee nodded. And we'll be ready. Operation Phoenix is already underway. The counterattack? Kang asked. Yes, Lee said. It's time to show the Confederation that humans don't just defend. We fight back. 3 days after the first battle, the Confederation fleet was still licking its wounds. Admiral June had called for reinforcements, but they would take at least 2 weeks to arrive. Until then, he could only watch and wait. Admiral, a young officer called, we're detecting movement from Earth. June hurried to the main screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Hundreds of ships were rising from Earth, not just military vessels, but civilian craft too. Cargo ships, passenger liners, even private yachts, all modified with weapons and shields. They're launching everything they have, Commander Ta said in awe. But why? June asked. They successfully defended their planet. Why risk an attack? The answer came soon enough. The human fleet didn't head toward the Confederation's position. Instead, they moved past them, heading toward open space. They're making a jump to faster-than-light travel, reported the sensor officer. They're leaving their system. Where are they going? June demanded. Engineer Bin, who had been studying human technology, looked up from his console. Based on their trajectory, they're heading toward our core systems. Sir, Silence fell over the bridge. The core systems were the heart of the Confederation, home to billions of citizens who had never seen war. Impossible, Jun said. They can't know where our worlds are. Sir, Bin said nervously, I've been analyzing their weapons. The humans are using principles we thought were just theoretical. They understand physics in ways we don't. Explain, Jun ordered. Bin pulled up diagrams on the main screen. Their ships use a form of propulsion that lets them detect the wake of other FTL ships. They've probably been tracking our supply ships back to our worlds for weeks. And their weapons? Tai asked. Ingenious, Bin admitted. They use simple materials but combine them in ways we never considered. Those EMPs that disabled our ships, they're using our own shield frequencies to amplify their effect. The more powerful our shields, the more vulnerable we are to their attacks. Admiral Jun's face went pale. They turned our strength into a weakness. There's more, Bin continued. They've retrofitted their civilian ships with military technology. That large vessel there, he pointed to the screen, was a cruise ship. Now it has weapon mounts and shield generators. How fast can they do that? Jun asked. Based on what we're seeing, days, maybe hours, Bin replied. They designed their civilian ships to be quickly converted for war. Who does that? Jun whispered. A species that expects to fight, Ta said quietly. On the lead human ship, Admiral Kang stood on the bridge, watching stars stream by as they traveled faster than light. All ships report ready, said his second-in-command. The civilian vessels are keeping up better than expected. Kang nodded. Our engineers have been preparing them for years. Every civilian ship built in the last decade was designed to be converted for military use if needed. The Confederation won't expect us to bring the fight to them, the officer said. No, Kang agreed. They expect us to cower behind our defenses. That's what prey does. He paused. But humans are not prey. We are predators. In the ship's lab, scientists worked on weapons designed specifically for Confederation targets. They had learned much from the brief battle. Their shield technology has a fundamental flaw, said Chief Scientist Ha, pointing to a simulation. It can't handle rapid frequency changes. Our adaptive missiles will exploit that. On the command deck, Director Lee studied maps of Confederation space. Intelligence gathered over years showed their major worlds, defense systems, and weak points. Target their shipyards first, she ordered, then their command centers. Not their population centers, asked a young officer. Lee shook her head. We're not monsters. We don't target civilians. We disable their ability to make war, then offer peace terms. The human fleet accelerated, heading straight for the heart of Confederation space. Behind them, more ships launched from Earth, ready to join the fight. The hunted had become the hunters. Officer Jin woke up in a strange room. The last thing he remembered was his ship breaking apart around him. Now he was lying on a soft bed in a plain white room. A window showed blue sky outside. He was on Earth. The door opened and a human entered. The man wore a simple uniform with no visible weapons. You're awake, the human said. Good. I'm Commander Park. How do you feel? Jin sat up cautiously. Where am I? Am I a prisoner? You're in a recovery center in a place called New Zealand, Park replied. And yes, technically you're a prisoner of war. But we don't harm prisoners. Jin looked confused. Why not? We came to conquer your world. Park pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down. That's not how humans do things. At least, not anymore. Over the next few days, Jin was surprised by his treatment. The humans provided him with food, medical care, and even books about Earth history. They asked him questions about the Confederation, but never forced him to answer. One evening, Commander Park visited again. He brought a small device that showed images of space. Your fleet is in trouble, Park said, showing Jin pictures of Confederation ships under attack. Our forces have reached your outer colonies. Jin stared at the images in shock. How is this possible? Your technology should be far behind ours. Technology isn't everything, Park replied. Humans have something your people lack. What's that? Jin asked. Experience with almost dying. Park's face grew serious. Throughout our history, humans have faced disasters that nearly wiped us out. Plagues, climate changes, world wars. Each time, we adapted and survived. Jin thought about this. The Confederation had been peaceful for generations. They had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. There's something else you should know, Park continued. We found the records on your ship. We know the Confederation has done this before, found new species, and contained them. Jin looked down, ashamed. It was true. The Confederation's peace came at the cost of dozens of other species who had been conquered or controlled. We would have joined you peacefully, Park said. Humans have dreamed of meeting alien life for centuries. We would have been eager allies. Then why fight so effectively? Jin asked. Your weapons, your tactics, they are designed to kill. Park smiled sadly. Because while we hoped for friends among the stars, we prepared for enemies. It's the human way. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. He showed Jin more images. Human cities with beautiful parks next to military bases, children playing near defense installations. We built our civilization knowing that one day we might need to fight for it, Park explained. Our greatest achievements and our worst tendencies come from the same place, our will to survive. Meanwhile, in space, the human fleet had reached the first major Confederation world. Admiral Kang stood on his bridge, watching as human ships disabled the planet's orbital defenses without destroying them. First phase complete, reported an officer. Minimal casualties on both sides. Begin broadcasting the message, Kang ordered. On every Confederation communication channel, a simple message played in their language. People of the Confederation, we are humans from Earth. Your leaders attacked our world without provocation. We have disabled your defenses, but will not harm your civilians. We seek peace, but we will not accept subjugation. We offer a choice. Acknowledge our right to exist freely, or continue this war that your leaders started. On the Star Dominance Admiral Jun received the message with growing horror. The human fleet had bypassed his forces completely. They now threatened the heart of the Confederation, while showing mercy that no species had ever shown before. They could destroy our worlds, Ta said, standing beside him, but they're offering peace instead. While holding a knife to our throat, Jun replied bitterly. Yes, Tai agreed. They fight like predators but negotiate like diplomats. They are truly unlike any species we've encountered. Back on Earth, Jin asked Park a final question. What does Earth want from the Confederation now? The same thing we've always wanted, Park replied. A place among the stars. Not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. The Confederation's High Council gathered in an emergency meeting. 12 members sat around a large table, their faces grim. At the head of the table, High Commander Du stood with his hands behind his back. The human fleet has disabled defenses on 3 of our worlds, Du said. Our reinforcements are still 1 week away. We must decide our response now. Admiral Jun spoke next. We should use the planet killer weapons. Destroy Earth before their fleet can return home. Murmurs filled the room. The planet killers were forbidden weapons, created generations ago and never used. They could destroy an entire world in minutes. If we use such weapons, said Counselor Yu, an older woman, we betray everything the Confederation stands for. If we don't, Jun countered, these humans could conquer us all. You've seen the reports. Their ships are now in range of our homeworld. They hold our colonies hostage. Commander Tai, who had been invited to observe, stepped forward. With respect, Admiral, the humans have shown restraint. They haven't harmed civilians. They're broadcasting peace terms, not threats. Peace on their terms, Jun shouted. They demand we recognize them as equals. No species has ever made such demands of the Confederation. Scientist Wadul, who had been studying the data from the battles, raised her hand. High Commander, there's something the Council should consider. These humans, they're different from other species we've encountered. How so? Du asked. Their development path is unique, Yule explained. Most species follow a predictable pattern. They master space travel, then weapons, then energy technology. But humans developed in bursts and leaps. They mastered nuclear power before they fully understood genetics. They reached their moon before they cured some of their basic diseases. She displayed images of Earth technology. This is a planet of contradictions. They have weapons that can destroy continents, yet they still use physical books. They have spaceships that can travel between stars, yet some of their people still farm with simple tools. What's your point? Joan asked impatiently. My point, Yule said, is that humans don't think like us. They don't develop technology in a logical order. They create what they need when they need it. If we threaten them further, who knows what they might develop next? High Commander Du paced the room. The reinforcement fleet is bringing our most advanced weapons. We can still win this war. Or, Ta suggested, we could talk to them. Talk, Jun scoffed, while they hold our worlds at gunpoint. Yes, Ta said simply. Because that's what they're asking for. Communication, not surrender. At that moment, an officer burst into the room. High Commander, the human fleet, it's moving again. Everyone rushed to the display screen. The human ships had formed a new pattern. Instead of surrounding the Confederation worlds, they were now in a line, facing outward. What are they doing? Du asked. It appears, Ta said slowly, they're taking a defensive position, protecting our worlds. From what? Joan demanded. The answer came seconds later as alarms sounded throughout the complex. On the edge of the system, new ships appeared, not Confederation, not human. Unknown vessels detected, reported an officer. Hundreds of them. They match no known design. Yule studied the readings. Their energy signatures are similar to those detected near the human system before we arrived. They're broadcasting a message, said the communications officer. The room fell silent as a harsh alien voice filled the air. Confederation vessels, human vessels. Your territories are now claimed by the Vrex Dominion. Surrender or be destroyed. High Commander Du stared at the screen in shock. Another alien power, one unknown to the Confederation, had arrived. And now, the Confederation and humans faced a common enemy. Sir, Commander Ta said urgently, the humans are hailing us. On screen, Admiral Kang's face appeared. Behind him, human officers worked at battle stations. Confederation Command, Kang said, we detected the Vrex fleet 3 days ago. They've been following us, waiting for us to weaken each other. He paused. We can fight each other, or we can fight them. Your choice. Du and Joan exchanged glances. The choice before them was clear. Continue their war with humanity, or join forces against this new threat. What will you decide? Kang asked. The Vrex will be in firing range in 10 minutes. Open a channel to the human fleet, High Commander Du ordered. On the screen, Admiral Kang waited for the Confederation's decision. Behind him, human officers prepared for battle. This is High Commander Du of the Galactic Confederation, Du said formally. We accept your offer of alliance against the Vrex Dominion. Kang nodded, sending tactical data now. The Vrex use energy weapons that can penetrate standard shields. Recommend frequency modulation on all defensive systems. As the Vrex fleet approached, something remarkable happened. Human and Confederation ships moved into formation together. Engineers from both sides worked quickly to share technology and tactics. Sir, reported a young Confederation officer to Admiral June, the humans are transmitting shield modifications. They've encountered the Vrex before. Before? June asked in surprise. When? They call it the Proxima Incident, the officer explained. 3 years ago, a human colony was attacked by unknown ships. The humans drove them off but kept it secret from us. Commander Tai, against direct orders, opened a private channel to the human flagship. Director Lee answered. Commander Tai, she acknowledged. I hope you're calling with good news. The High Commander has approved joint operations, Ta said. But I must know, why did you position your fleet to defend our worlds? After what we did to you. Lee smiled slightly. Because that's what humans do. We fight fiercely, but we don't abandon others to their fate. Even former enemies. The Vrex ships fired their first volley. Beams of strange purple energy shot toward the combined fleet, but with the human modifications, most shields held. Return fire, ordered Kang. All ships, execute Thermopylae defense pattern. The human ships moved in ways that made no sense to Confederation tacticians until they saw the results. The seemingly random movements created gaps that allowed perfect firing lines for Confederation vessels, while the humans absorbed the brunt of the Vrex attack. On the Confederation command ship, Admiral Jun watched in amazement. They're sacrificing their position to give us better shots, he said quietly. Why would they do that? Because, said Scientist Will, who stood nearby, they understand something we forgot long ago. Sometimes you must risk everything to save others. The battle raged for hours. Human ingenuity combined with Confederation technology proved a powerful combination. The Vrex, expecting to find weakened enemies fighting each other, instead faced a united force. Finally, the Vrex commander sent a message. This territory is not worth the cost. We withdraw for now. Their ships turned and disappeared into faster-than-light travel. In the aftermath, human and Confederation ships floated side by side, many damaged but still intact. Medical teams from both species worked together to treat the wounded. 1 month later, on the Confederation homeworld, a historic meeting took place. Director Lee and Admiral Kang represented Earth. High Commander Du and the Council represented the Confederation. The treaty before us, Du said, recognizes Earth as a sovereign and equal member of the galactic community. It establishes mutual defense pacts and technology sharing agreements. Jun, standing in the back of the room, still looked uncertain. Can we trust them? These humans who fight like demons. Commander Tai, now promoted for his role in the peace process, replied, We must. The Vrex will return, and next time, they'll bring a larger fleet. Officer Jin, who had been returned to the Confederation as part of the peace negotiations, spoke up. During my time on Earth, I learned something important. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy. They just want to ensure their survival. And they're very good at surviving, Yule added with a smile. Director Lee signed the treaty first, then High Commander Du. Applause filled the room, a sound rarely heard in the formal halls of Confederation government. Later, at the celebration, Tai approached Lee. I must ask, he said, if we had continued to fight, would you have destroyed us? Lee looked at him thoughtfully. We could have, but that's not who we choose to be. Even though we came to conquer your world. Especially because of that, Lee replied. Humans learned long ago that the cycle of revenge leads nowhere. We fight fiercely when threatened, but we prefer to make allies rather than subjects. As they watched human and Confederation officers talking and sharing stories, Tai understood at last. The Confederation had seen humans as insane because they prepared for war during peace, but that very insanity, that readiness to face the worst while hoping for the best, had saved both their civilizations. The humans weren't insane. They were survivors. And now, so was the Confederation.